sentence. I didn't tell you how many commas they had to be there in that sentence. Okay, Steve, please.
One thing I've done in my business is something called benchmarking. I looked out at other companies in our industry and saw what practices they had that were better than ours. That's something that I'll bring to the governor's office in Arizona, and I certainly will bring that to the subject of water. Because I can tell you that Arizona is not world class when it comes to dealing with water. Water recycling, water sourcing. There are countries in the world that do a far better job than we do, and we need to up our game. I think we all agree. This is a problem that's not only in Arizona, but throughout the West. The Biden administration passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill and spent not a dime on desalination plants in California. As a country, we have access to the Pacific Ocean. We should build desalination plants up and down the coast to take pressure off the Colorado River, not only for the benefit of Arizona, but Nevada, Colorado, and Utah. I will be a voice in the country for making sure that at the federal level we know that the West needs to do a better job with water, and in Arizona. In Phoenix, we're recycling 10% of our water. We should be recycling 70% of our water. It's important today, but for the future of our children and grandchildren, it's a necessity.
Thank you. We're about to go into the last question, and then I will open it up and just sort of ask each candidate in 2 minutes to tell us why they are the better choice, or the best choice, I should say. Just a comment, I mentioned earlier that and you guys have been incredibly polite, that you shouldn't applaud unless instructed to. I'm looking at the name tag that I was given, never mind that my last name was misspelled. I'm looking at the name tag, and it's quite impressive. Jewish Women's Conservative Forum. At a time when half this nation has lost its mind, now is a good time to clap. Jewish Women's Conservative Forum. This is impressive. Anyhow, and I commend you. Last of the series of questions, it'll begin with Matt. The question is as follows. With the shifting populations that we've seen over the last couple of years, is there a need to be concerned about Arizona becoming a purple state that could be leaning or becoming one day blue?
I'm going to try to make the argument in my closing statement why I'm the best candidate, but I will say this unequivocally right now. Any of the candidates up here on their worst day would be infinitely better than Katie Hobbs. I'm telling you that right now. And I have deep respect for my two colleagues beside me, they're both wonderful people. Let me just say that, no, I don't believe that's going to happen. In fact, I think that Joe Biden has been the best recruiter for Republicans I've ever seen in my life. And the other thing that I love to tell people is that the only guy smiling because he's president is Jimmy Carter, because now he won't go down as the worst president of the United States. But I truly do believe that the message that we have of opportunity and safe streets and better schools, these messages are going to carry. I think that what happened in the last election was, you know, we talked about the security of that election and the integrity of that election, which all of us are dubious about. But I think that going forward, as I've been out crisscrossing the state, and I've been across the state more times than I can count on my fingers and toes. I just came back from Bullhead City today. 2 days before, I'd spent the whole day in Yuma. I'll be in Casa Grande and Payson, all over the state. And everywhere I go, the Republicans are bursting at the seams. And you know what I like to tell people? It's just like when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and the admiral of the fleet said, "I fear we've awoken the sleeping giant." Folks, Joe Biden has awoken the sleeping giant, and we are going to take this election by storm. You watch and see.
Thank you. Steve, please.
In 2019, I saw that we were going to go through a process called redistricting. I started an organization called Fair Maps Arizona to make sure that in 2021 we didn't have happen in our state what happened in 2011 where the Democrats overran us. I became something of an expert in the issues of demographics in our state. And I think it's important for you to know that 20 years ago, 44% of registered voters were Republican. It's only 34% today. There are actually more independents by percentage than there are Republicans or Democrats. Now, I agree with Matt that Joe Biden has done a great job of setting us up. I truly believe in 2022 that the wind will be at our backs. But here in Arizona, we're not like Wyoming, where 70% of registered voters are registered Republican. It just is not that way. If we could only build a wall between ourselves and California, we would have a different story. So after the primary, what I will do is I will gather every Republican nominee, and we will begin to work together in a way that Republicans have never worked before in Arizona. We will work as a team together to dominate the Democrats and make sure that they can't raise their heads here in Arizona. That is what it's going to take, because we truly have a purple state, about a third Republicans, a third independents, and almost a third Democrat. We can't fool ourselves about our situation. We have to understand what it is, take account of it, and be sure that we win.
Thank you, Steve. And once again, Karrin, please.
Thank you. I believe Arizona is red at heart. 70% of the adult population in Arizona came from somewhere else. They left their families, their homes, their traditions, their jobs to come to a place that is still free. This is a free state where if you work hard and you treat people well, you can accomplish anything. That being said, our demographics are changing. Our voter registration is changing. And in 2020, I was asked by the Senate President and the Speaker of the House to lead the effort to maintain our Republican majorities in the House and Senate. We were outspent 3-1, and in one case 4-1, and against all odds and against all predictions, we maintained the Republican majorities. Now, that being said, I saw firsthand the amount of money coming into the state from the left. When I woke up one day and saw that Michael Bloomberg had put another $4 million into our state legislative races, that told me what they're prepared for. And they're going to come back because we have an open governor's seat and we have the U.S. Senate seat that is vulnerable. And it should be ours for the taking, courtesy of Joe Biden. But Arizona is going to be ground zero in November of 2022 because they believe they can turn us blue once and for all. And so who we nominate as our Republican nominee matters, because they're going to put everything they can behind Katie Hobbs. And if we're not careful, they will outspend us and outmaneuver us. I believe we prevail at the end, but we have to take their threats seriously, because they will stop short of nothing to turn Arizona blue. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before we get to this very last segment where each will speak, allow me please a quick political joke. You've heard it before, but you want to hear it again. Two people sitting in a bar watching the 11 p.m. news, a Democrat and a Republican. On TV, the news story is about a man sitting on a ledge of a tall building about to jump and commit suicide. The TV station breaks into a commercial break. The Republican during the commercial says to the Democrat, "I'll bet you $20 that he jumps." The Democrat says, "Okay, it's a bet." Coming back from the commercial break, we see the man jump to his death. The Democrat, being a good sport, pulls out the $20 bill that they bet and hands it to the Republican. However, the Republican refuses, and he says, "No, I can't take it." The Democrat says, "But I insist. I lost the bet fair and square." The Republican says, "I have a confession to make. I saw the same thing earlier in the 5 p.m. news, and I knew that he was going to jump. So it really wasn't a fair bet." The Democrat replies, "I know, I saw the same newscast, but I just didn't think he'd be stupid enough to do it again. Those people are running our country. We cannot have them running our state. And for 2 minutes each, beginning with Steve, they'll tell us why they should be the one running our state.
The governor of a state, in my mind, is the CEO of the state. In our state, 32,000 employees, a budget now of more than $14 billion. When I hire people in my business, I define the position, and then I look for someone who's done it successfully before. That is the best recipe for making sure that the person you hire is going to be successful. I've been a CEO in my own business for a long, long time. That's how I know I can do the job of governor, because they're pretty much the same. I grant you I don't have 32,000 employees, but the principles are the same. It's not legislation, it's not judicial, it's like a business. The profit principle is not there, but the organizational and legal environment is similar. I've been successful. I've been around politics in Arizona now for long enough to know where we're weak, where we're strong, and I know that I can build a team that will take Arizona to the next level. We can make Arizona a world-class place to do business, to raise families, and to keep our freedoms. That's what I want to do for Arizona. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, Karen, please.
Thank you. Having never run for political office before, I am a political outsider. But I am blessed and privileged to have two former governors, Governor Jan Brewer and Governor Fife Symington, as the co-chairs of my campaign. They've known me for decades. They've watched me as a small business owner where I've signed the front of checks. They've watched me as a mother of four and a new grandmother. In fact, I was a single mother for years. I am worried about their future. I'm worried about the future of all of our kids as our freedoms are being eroded from Washington, D.C. But I will bring my life's experience, my substantive experience in everything from transportation to water to land use to education to the environment to the table. I don't need on-the-job training. I can lead day one. I've led teams, I've managed budgets. As a member of the Board of Regents, I had fiduciary obligations, fiduciary responsibilities for a $6.4 billion enterprise. So I am ready to lead. I also know firsthand what the left is capable of. We have to be prepared for them. We have to nominate the candidate with the best chance of defeating Katie Hobbs in November. I believe I'm that candidate. And on day one, I commit to you that we are going to take every step possible to secure our border. And I also commit to you that Arizona is going to do nothing but go up when it comes to education, achievement, education attainment. And we are going to give families 100% choice of where they can send their kids. Our kids deserve better, and as your governor, we will give that to them. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Matt, please.
This isn't my first rodeo. In 1998, Hillary Clinton spoke at one of the New York universities, and she said that it was time for a Palestinian state. And she said that Bill Clinton was going to unilaterally do that. The next day, I introduced legislation that said that the U.S. Congress will never recognize a Palestinian state that is not agreed to by Israel in advance. The Clintons stopped their design. The next day, I got a call. My legislative director came in. His mouth was hitting the floor. He said, "You wouldn't believe who's on the line. It's Bibi Netanyahu." I got on the phone and he said, "Matt, just wanted to know you're my new hero. You have stopped bloodshed." I just want you to know that it's incredibly important to elect somebody in our state's top job that has been in tough spots before and that knows what they're doing. What's the best predictor? You've heard candidates before promise things that they didn't deliver on. What's the best predictor of what somebody's going to do? What they've done. What's their record? I have a legislative record, a voting record as long as my arm. And I've received so many awards, Taxpayer Hero Award from the Citizens Against Government Wage, the top award from the American Conservative Union, the top award from the Family Research Council. You don't have to bet on me. And I will hit the ground from day one. I have 30 years in the private sector as a CEO, as a top executive with a Fortune 500 company. And I know how to get things done politically. And when the federal government debt comes breathing down our neck, I've had experience both in political office at the state and the federal level. I will fight to protect Arizona because I have the know-how to get it done, and you don't have to bet on me. You can look what I've done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 30 seconds before I close, and then you can, that applause that you held back, I think will be well deserved. And I'm sure some of the, all of the candidates will just, as they mingle around, be happy to talk to any of you. Plato once wrote that one of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. We've had that for too long. This evening we realize that the future can indeed be brighter. 3 outstanding candidates are proof, certainly, of that. So we urge you to demonstrate your support, your belief in the future. August 2nd is the primary, November 8th is the general election. We must win. Everybody, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. I think this was incredible. Thank you. Thank everybody, Nemeh, Steve, Karrin, and Matt. Thank you so much. Laurie wants me to remind you to please return your little stickers. And front and back. And thank
Well,
you
that
so
comes
much
to a
for
closure
coming
right now.
tonight. And
We
please
here
come to our,
in Phoenix at the
April
Embassy
and
Suites
our
with the
May,
MAAP REAL Talk Show.
meetings.
We're just
Thank
finishing
you.
up the debate for the governors. Obviously, it's Salmon, Karrin, and Gaynor, Steve Gaynor. They had a wonderful speeches, and we thank you all for watching, and thank you for your support. MAAP REAL Talk Show with you. We'll talk real soon. Of course, I forgot the last name of Karrin Robson. I can't forget that one. Thank you so much. And it's the same, Matt Salmon and Steve Gaynor. I want to make sure I mention the 3 because those are the ones that really showed up today. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Hi, everybody. Yes, we are. Do you want to say something? You can. Matt, okay, whatever you want to say, of course. Yes. Good. Yes, they did a great job. All 3 of them. This is MAAP REAL Talk Show. As you all know, this is it for today until the next round. So long.